Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to In Vino Veritas. I'm Anthony, and this is my wonderful co-host, Master of Wine, Jeannie. And we're here to share with you everything about the wonderful world of wine. So, Jeannie, we're here in France, and we've been to Bordeaux, and now we're here in Burgundy. What exactly is the difference between the two?
Gosh, where do I begin? There are so many differences. Bordeaux is a much bigger region.
Okay.
It's on the Atlantic coast, on the western part of France, southwest. The grapes that are used there are very different from Burgundy. It's mostly based on Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc are the main grape varieties for reds. And then for whites, they do make a small proportion of whites, although people don't refer to Bordeaux as a white wine region, from Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon. Now we go to Burgundy. Burgundy is in the center of France. It's a continental climate, which means it has very hot summers and very cold winters.
Okay.
Extreme temperatures, but and considered fairly cool and difficult, and you couldn't ripen Cabernet there. The skins of the Cabernet and Merlot just wouldn't ripen in that sort of temperature. So what you have for reds is Pinot Noir, very simple. That's the only red that they use here for quality reds. And also, of course, Chardonnay for whites. And the style in Burgundy is elegant, delicate, nuanced, and the whole structure of the wine is built as much on acidity as on the tannins for the reds.
Wow, there's a lot to offer, so why don't we go find out exactly what we can get?
Great.
All right. As a master of wine, Jeannie is not only passionate about winemaking and drinking, but also pretty much anything else related to wine. So that's why she designed her own signature wine glass collection to enhance the enjoyment of wine for wine lovers. Wow, Jeannie, this is a great turnout here at your wine launch party. Maybe you could tell us, why is there 5 different types of glasses?
Well, you can see that the glasses are actually named by 8 degrees Celsius, 15 degrees Celsius, 18 degrees Celsius. Because one of the things that we don't get right here in Hong Kong and most parts of Asia, because the temperature is so warm, when we think about room temperature, it should be about 15, 18 degrees when you're talking about a cool place like a cellar in Europe. But here, of course, it's very often 20 degrees or more. If you have this wine, and this is the 18 degrees Celsius, the wine that fits in here, mostly a full-bodied red like a Cabernet, a Syrah, Merlot, should not be above 18 degrees Celsius. And ideally, you should hit the sweet spot is really 18 degrees.
Wow, so I had no idea there's actually science and methodology built into these glasses. Wow, fantastic.
So that's why they're the different shapes. So the large one is for fuller-bodied reds.
Okay.
15 degrees Celsius is for light to medium-bodied red.
Okay.
The 8 degrees is for sparkling wine, champagne, for dessert wine. And we have a U2, what I call Universal 2, and that is 10 degrees Celsius for white wines, which should be served at 10 degrees.
Now I noticed down at the bottom here in the base of the stem, it's got a really nice, unique twist on it. What was your vision?
Well, the twist has a lot of meanings for me. I think that me being in the wine industry is actually a twist of fate. And the twist signifies in my philosophy of thinking about life that the great things in life actually happen with a twist of fate. This time we join famous wine lovers, political elites, and great friends, Frederick Ma, Alan Hu, and Abraham Scheck. Will join Jeannie to dine on delicate French cuisine, pairing different sophisticated French dishes and wine. Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted to, share this wonderful event. And Frederick Ma, I'm delighted that you can make some time. And Abraham Scheck, I know that again you're a gourmand that travels around the world to enjoy food. But
I follow others to eat and drink.
I think many follow you as well. And we have Alan Hu, who's a longtime barrister, but also a wine lover, a huge wine lover. Nicolas from A Pure Restaurant, who's really actually the orchestrator behind the food. And I'm just a side, a musician who's trying to bring along a little bit of music to enhance the food. So tell us about this dish, Nicolas.
Alors, we have the lobster salad today. So you can see we have a bit of the tail and the claw right there. We did a kind of cannelloni or spring roll, you can, whatever you want to call it. We have with inside more lobsters, some apples, some coriander, and the two sauces you can see right there. We have the yellow one is made with celery and mustard, and the green one is made with the coriander.
So I chose a kind of unusual wine. It's Chenin Blanc is not a variety that's very popular, and white wines itself is not really a category that's growing very much. It's about 90% red still in Hong Kong and even in China. So you get these crisp green apples, which is very typical of Chenin. And in addition to that, you know that it's going to be fuller bodied because of the color and just the viscosity. Well, let's have it with the food and see how it goes together.
I love the way he describes food.
Like woman. Describe it like woman. So fresh. I mean, the wine that Jeannie was
Again, the
describing,
context.
it's so natural. It blurs into your grow into your mouth,
We all enjoy wine. All of us enjoy wine. But I have to confess, the knowledge level is not very, very high. So I'm glad that we get to meet Jeannie, who is wine master.
The vol au vent, again, meaning the fact it's flying to the wind, of course, because it's a very flaky, light butter puff pastry. And the dish is all about that at the end. Of course, it was the way we, instead to cook something and put it in, we just did the ring, so we put it at the last minute, so it's still not soggy, very flaky and crispy. And after that, to have a dish inside with a kind of broth of langoustine done with a bit of cream and licorice, réglisse, what we call, a bit of fish, a bit of puree of potato and leeks, and langoustine just seared like that.
Chassagne seems always to me is a little bit spicier, more herbal, less fruit-driven, to me more minerally, and I love that savoriness.
A bit more serious.
Yeah, a bit more serious.
A bit more serious. Yeah.
From the best producers, I think they last even longer than the more floral and the flowery and fruity, Puligny Montrachet. So
it's good to drink already. I find when you just open like a smoky, because it's some licorice there, maybe you find some match with the.
Yeah, there's lovely herbs and
But I think it's still
spices.
Yes.
You can still age.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, you can still age.
2010 has a lot more structure than 09 for white wines. If you're choosing between vintages for white Burgundy, I would go for the 08 or the 2010 rather than the 9. The 9s are wonderful for the reds.
So, poulard. It's actually a poultry hen, a female. And this exceptional poulard is from close from Brittany in the Maine. It's a couple doing, again, quality but not quantity. It's a free range for 6 months, having fed with milk, full fat milk, some organic plant and cereal. Beautiful. So the texture is so tender, have the beautiful nose and a crispy skin as well.
My chosen wine is a Burgundy, red Burgundy with a little bit of age. So it's a 1999 Volnay Champagne from one of the oldest producers of Volnay, 200 years old. So the estate has been around that long by the Marquis d'Angerville, and it's led by Guillaume d'Angerville, who's actually over the last, over a decade has really refined what Volnay is all about. So among all the places in Burgundy, if you want elegance, if you want refinement, if you want, bright raspberry fruit and silky tannins, you go to Volnay.
But this is not young.
But this is 1999.
That's right, it's not young.
So it's 15 years old. It's got a little bit of age. So rather than fresh raspberries,
From the last century.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
you're going to get a bit more, yeah, but you're going to get a bit more dried rose petals, kind of that potpourri, the dried floral character as well. So I think this amazing lunch that we had, Nicolas, was really a reflection of very fine ingredients and fine cuisine paired with delicate, nuanced wines. And I think that's why, you know, really when you're doing a pairing that is about the best ingredients, it's not about the label or the price, it's really about finding those little parcels and the little domains where you can really bring them to life and make sure that they enhance each other. But thank you all so much for joining me. And it's been a wonderful lunch, yes.
It's also the company.
I'm sure it's also partly the company.
To explore the world of wine, follow us to France, the quintessential wine region of the world. First, Jeannie and I will head to Bordeaux, the oldest and largest wine-growing region. Here, we will visit different chateaux, meet some of the biggest names in the wine world. We will also visit Burgundy, where premium Pinot Noir and Chardonnay are produced. After these trips, you may not be an expert in wine, but at least you'll know how to appreciate your glass of wine better. Hello.
Hello,
Hi. How you doing, Ron?
Hi, Anthony.
Great.
Welcome to my home.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Please come in.
Sure. Thank you. So I was wandering around the streets here in alleys of Bourne, and this wonderful fine gentleman, Mr. Ron Salberg, nice to meet you,
Thank you.
has been very kind to invite us into his home here, so we can really get a rare opportunity to find out what it's like to live here. Why did you come here, Ron?
Well, I was working with a hedge fund in Switzerland, and typically I would fly into Paris and drive there because I enjoyed, you know, the French country style.
Sure, of course.
And the wines here in Beaune. So after a couple of years of that, I ended up buying a home here.
Smart idea. Where are you from originally?
Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin. So you're a long way from home, aren't
A
you?
long way from home.
So is it your love for wine that brought you here?
In part, it's really a whole lifestyle. It's not just the wine, it's the food. I love the food here. I love to cook, we like the architecture, the history, and just the purity of life and the tranquility.
We're here in Burgundy. Is the wine from Burgundy your favorite?
I think it is now, but you know, in the 8 years that I've lived here, it's been kind of a discovery.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because before I bought here and lived here, the reds I typically drank were more, you know, Bordeaux or Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot.
Okay.
I did drink the Chardonnay before I came here, and of course that's the white grape here.
Mm-hmm.
But I discovered the Pinot Noir here, and it's amazing how much variation on theme you can get here with just one grape based on the terroir, which is not just the earth, but the whole environment in which the grapes grow.
So I've been looking around your home here, and there's some beautiful pieces. You've got art pieces, you've got some magnificent architecture. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the house and the design?
Sure. Well, the house itself, as I mentioned, is around 500 years old, something around there. You know, it's not dissimilar to a lot of the houses in the neighborhood, so it's a very well intact medieval neighborhood.
Sure.
And when I bought the house, it was pretty much, you know, without furniture. So that was kind of an exciting, project to sort out and you know, furnish out the house.
Yes, yes.
It's been a work in progress. To some measure, it still is. But you know, a lot of the French furniture here we picked up over the internet or at local brocantes, which are, you know, people who sell antiques.
Oh, okay.
And as you can see, they're not just French, but given that I used to work in Hong Kong and traveled a lot in Asia, where I still have a lot of interests. I've kind of blended, if you will, some Asian.
And I can see by part of your clothing attire, you do have that Asian attire
Yes,
representing.
absolutely.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, it's something that I wear pretty much every day, this kind of thing too. So I guess I'm, a product of my experience, like everyone is, and
Yes, of course.
and it's as much Asia and China as it is France and the U.S.
Fantastic. So I've explored this town of Born, and I've got to experience what it's like to live here in the beautiful abodes. And it's wonderful, it's charming, it's very simple and very peaceful. And that's something that I look forward to in the rest of my life. I have a pretty silly question, but I'm not quite sure. Red wine, do they come from red grapes? And white wine maybe comes from like green or what type of grapes?
Well, you're not far off.
Okay.
Red wines are made with black and red grapes, so it really depends. When they get really ripe, they turn sort of dark purplish black.
Ah, okay.
And then white wine comes from mostly green grapes, and there are some exceptions where the grapes can turn slightly pink or gray right when they ripen.
So what kind of grapes are these vineyards?
Yeah, we're right now standing on the very famous hill of Corton. Very steep, as you can see. This is one of the highest hills where the grapes are being planted, and both famous for reds and whites. But here, this is Chardonnay.
These are
Chardonnay grapes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Little bits of, they're still quite young though, right?
Yes. They still have at least 4 more months of maturity.
Oh, okay. The two kinds of grapes that Jeannie just explained actually are grown on the hillsides of the domain we're going to visit. Domaine Bonneau de Martret, where only one red and one white are being produced, and both are all Grand Cru wine.
I'm here at Bonneau du Martret with Jean-Charles, so thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here because your wines are, always really quite intense and unique. And the simplest and easiest thing about Bonneau du Martret is that they really just make 2 wines. A Grand Cru Corton Charlemagne and a Grand Cru Red Corton. So Jean-Charles, you've put together some wines for us to taste today. It's a mini vertical.
Jeannie, it's always a pleasure when you come, so I'm very happy to share this moment with you, and I will indeed pour a few vintages for you of Corton Charlemagne, and I thought we might revisit the 2012, recently bottled. We bottled last April. Every time I taste the 12, it is a vintage with, I would say, extra substance. As we can see, there is nothing fat in this wine.
No.
They are always extremely clearly mineral, and I would say that the style is vertical.
For many people who enjoy Corton Charlemagne, they say that when they have it, it feels in the mouth almost like a red wine. That's how intense and I suppose mouth coating it seems to be. And whenever I'm trying to convert a red wine lover who says, oh, I don't like white wine or I don't drink white wine, I always say, okay, let me give you a Corton Charlemagne.
Oh, like what a nice idea.
And actually, it very often converts them. They start to say, oh, I get it. Actually, white wines don't have to be so high in acidity or lean and like Chablis-like. This is the opposite. This has body and depth. And I think red wine consumers seem to be able to convert to white wine through Corton Charlemagne. So now we're having 2011 Corton Charlemagne. And it's been in the bottle for now at least a year.
This wine now has been delivered in each country.
Right.
We ship, I would say, on 5 continents, and some countries have been enjoying our Corton Charlemagne since more than 40 years, namely Hong Kong, I have to say, because it all started in the early 70s. So those bottles were shipped last summer for most of them.
So this is the most recent wine in the marketplace?
personally, I try to be open-minded. I think it's difficult to be too dogmatic and say, you should never enjoy a Corton Charlemagne before 10 years, 15 years cellaring. I think it's a mistake. Because in their young period, they can also deliver something very special, which you will not see again afterwards.
Yes, that's
Wines
true.
change year after year.
Which is the beauty and fascination.
Yes.
And that's why you should buy a whole case and not just one
Personally,
bottle.
but when I can afford, I prefer 12 packs.
Yes.
Because
One
you
case.
can drink them at most of the
Different years.
periods.
Yes. But the earliest for the 2011, what would you recommend?
I would give it another couple of years, certainly,
Yes.
before starting drinking.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you so much, and I very much appreciate that you follow our works year after year, and you really have the understanding of this wonderful thing which has to do with vintage character. We work hard every year, but the wine is never the same because it is featured by the seasons.
That's the fascination
Yes. Thank you
and
so
the
much.
beauty. Thank you.